All right, City Controller Christy Brady, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to be here.
So before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about what the Controller's Office does for people who may be not sure yet?
Absolutely. So the controller's office promotes honest, effective, efficient, and fully accountable city government. And we do so by providing independent analysis to city officials. We're providing objective information to city officials, the public, to you, other interested parties, about financial affairs and on ways to improve city operations and how we use our public resources.
And with that in mind, I'm always really interested to hear about, how does an office like yours make a decision as to what you're going to investigate or how you're going to address a problem or concern?
The way I've been doing it, some of it is charter mandated requirements. We do the audit of the city's financial statements, the school district's financial statements, but I am utilizing a community affairs unit, and we're going out throughout the city and pretty much listening to people's concerns, but that's also helping me collect data on what I should look at. Um, you know, I want to look at what will have the biggest impact on our citizens with an emphasis on uh, accountability and public safety, because that's what I think people are most interested in.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that we're always talking about is the economy and how what the city can be doing. And your office recently released a report about outdoor dining. And
Yes,
this
yes.
was really interesting to me. So, what were some of the key questions there that you were asking and some of the key things you were taking a look at?
Well, we conducted this review after the business community and city council, while I was testifying, raised concerns over the complex process for obtaining an outdoor dining license. So one of the things that I wanted to do was to determine what barriers, if any, prevented businesses from fully utilizing this outdoor dining experience.
And, what were some of the key recommendations that came out of that report? Because there were a couple of things that seemed like common sense things that were backed up by data here.
Yes. So what we found was that the application process needed to be streamlined. We found that restaurant owners had to go to different departments to obtain different approvals. And not only that, but there was a very high fee to apply for an outdoor dining license. Um, it, $1,750. It's
Yeah.
way too high. You can compare that to other cities like Pittsburgh, which is 150.
Hmm.
And I believe that it was preventing, a lot of these streeteries decided to uh, take down their walls because it was very complicated, high fees, and it just wasn't worth it to them.
And you had mentioned streamlining, and that I think that can be said about a lot of things in local government, and really a lot of things just in general. But
Yeah.
when you make a recommendation like that, do you have a thought as to how do you begin that process of saying, okay, we're going to streamline this process, we're going to make it a little more accessible? How does that work, and what kind of recommendations do you make to like an agency or multiple agencies?
Well, in this case, seeing that the mayor has come in and has split L&I, so we have the building construction, and then we have quality of life. And I believe that some of the things that I'm seeing are steps in the right direction. I think in order to make change, sometimes these reports, it's about getting city council or the mayor, the policymakers, to to want to implement those recommendations. And it is an issue being an auditor. Um, I take many CPE classes uh, for my for to hold my CPA license, and there's a lot of how do you get management to implement your recommendations. It's not just a problem here. I mean, that's an audit problem. I mean, we take courses on it. It's about winning management over to say, yeah, you're right, and gaining that trust too. Because if the department thinks you're out to just get them, and they're not going to listen to your ideas. But if I've worked for the city almost my whole life, and I've developed relationships with the commissioners and directors, and all the way down to a lot of lower level employees, just because I've lived in the city all my life, and I believe that they know me, and they know that all I want to do is improve um, how government works.
One of the key things we talk about on this show a lot is the city budget process. So what
Hmm.
what is your office's role in that?
Well, we issue an opinion on the city's 5-year plan. And what that is we look at the assumptions that they use to make their projections, and we determine if it's reasonable or not.
And so when you look at the budget that was just passed, we look ahead a little bit and we see these declining fund balances. Does that
Mhm.
give you cause for concern?
It does. It's a very aggressive budget. I think that there's a lot packed in, and seeing that there was no taxes um, being raised, it was tax neutral. Um, you know, it does cause concern. However, the city is doing well. I mean, just recently, we were upgraded to an A+ for bond rating. That helps us borrow money. Our interest rates are going to be lower. And a lot of that has to do with how healthy our pension is.
Mhm.
Our pension is 62% funded right now. We're projected to be 80% by, I think, 2028, and fully funded by 2033. When that happens, the money that we're putting into our pension fund can be used for so many other programs. And it's being recognized. Uh, so I do believe that the city is going in the right direction.
Once we get over that pension hump, then it becomes a little easier, it
And it's
sounds
a
like.
big hump. It's a big
Yeah.
hump,
Hmm.
but we're working hard on the pension board to uh, to have this fully funded. Mhm.
All right. I'd like to bring in Denise Clay Murray here on Philadelphia Hall Monitor.
Hi, and thank you for joining us. We really
Hi,
appreciate it.
Denise. You're welcome.
I guess my first question for you is, should you said that in your report that the streeteries um
Yes.
thing could be streamlined. How can it be streamlined? And a lot of the businesses that wanted to do that also had money as a concern. Is the streamlining would the stream would a more streamlined process make it less expensive to do?
I think it's two things. One is the fees and the insurance, so the costs that are involved. That We compared how other cities did this. And I mentioned Pittsburgh being 150 application fee. Ours is 1750. That's just incredibly wrong.
Excuse me,
One thousand.
$1,750?
Yes, yes. That's
Wow.
how much we charge. Now, New York, you could pay a fee, and it's for over several years. Maybe so this report it contains options that the city can use to determine, because when city council goes back in session, we want them to use this as a tool to decide how best to go forward with streeteries.
Okay, now one of the things that I've always noticed about the controller's office is that you all come out with these really great reports that look at a problem that the city is having, and you give suggestions on how that problem can be solved. Once you submit the report to city council, do you ever do like kind of a follow up to find out if they're even thinking about using these solutions?
Yes, we do a follow-up. When I was running last year, uh, I don't normally run with the people I audit. And I developed relationships with the city council members and the mayor. So I believe I have a good working relationship with them. I'm glad that they came to me and asked me to do this report. And and I believe that they will use this as a tool to move forward, as well as many other of their initiatives that I'm working hand in hand with them on. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do together.
Okay. Now, you had to sign off on the budget in terms of PICA,
Yes.
and how, I guess, how does the controller's office and PICA interact, and what gave you the confidence to to sign off on the budget? Because one of the things that a lot of folks are concerned about is the fund balance in year 5 and how small it is. So what made you confident enough to say, okay, I can get behind this?
One of the things with the 5-year plan, as it goes out, what happens in the future doesn't always, it's less predictable. So the immediate 1 year, 2 year, 3 year is more important than when it goes out into the outlying years. So it's harder and harder to predict. We do look at those assumptions. So our job is to look at the assumptions. We work very closely with PICA, who brings a lot of the key departments in and asks them a lot of questions on their budget line items. And we also work very closely with the city's budget office to understand their assumptions, do our own calculations and our own projections to see if what they're putting in the 5-year plan is correct. So one of the things that I did point out in the 5-year plan as a sensitive assumption was the fiscal cliff with the ARPA funds,
Okay.
which is one of the reasons why we do have such a drop in revenue going forward.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And I'm going to give you back to Larry McGlynn. And you're listening to Philadelphia Hall Monitor on WPPM 106.5.
All right, thank you,
Thank you.
Denise. And Controller Brady, before we let you go, what I really recommend people go to the website and take a look at these reports. Not only are they informative, but I find these very easy to read. They're well written, and I think it's easy for somebody. And I was an English teacher. I'm not a math person, so the numbers get a little confusing for me sometimes.
Great.
But these are easy to understand. Can you give us a preview of anything that might be coming up in the fall?
Absolutely. So first, I would just want to point out that monthly we do data releases. It's a newsletter called Municipal Money Matters. Say that 5 times fast. But and just recently we issued one on public safety departments and worker compensation claims going down. We've done business tax, comparing business taxes um, within the city and immediate areas right outside the city. One of the things that we're going to be issuing in the fall is our performance audit on L&I. And I'm really excited about that. Again, that public safety, one of my initiatives. Of course, our annual audit, our departmental audits, the city single audit. We're always working. We're trying to work hard for the citizens of Philadelphia. That's for sure.
Well, we definitely
Now,
want to back when that L&I report comes out. Go ahead.
Yes.
now is the newsletter accessible to the public? Can you subscribe to it?
Yes. Thank you very much for asking this question. On our website, you can sign up for our newsletter, and you'll receive this newsletter once a month, and it'll contain the Municipal Money Matters. All of our reports are on our website, and I encourage everyone to come and onto the website and to view our reports.
Absolutely. People who are interested in municipal government should definitely be getting these emails because they're really interesting and well done. City Controller, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it was wonderful. Anytime, please.